Imagine a blistering, sun-baked wasteland. For an organism trapped in this kind of extreme heat, the clock is ticking loudly. A bird deprived of water in these conditions faces a rapid physiological cascade. Within hours, its core temperature spikes, its organs begin to shut down, and systemic failure is imminent. But then an anomaly breaks the horizon. A man-made clay pitcher sits entirely out of place in the dirt, offering a sudden, fragile lifeline. In nature, staying alive frequently comes down to spotting these exact kinds of strange, unexpected variables just before the body reaches its absolute limit. Getting close to the pitcher, however, reveals a brutal catch. The water is there, but it is trapped at the very bottom of a tall, rigid clay cylinder. This diagram shows the exact spatial problem. Notice the narrow opening at the top and the vertical gap plunging down to a tiny, isolated pool of liquid. Even with its beak fully extended, the bird's reach halts several inches above the water's surface. This is a direct conflict between biology and geometry. The bird's anatomy is optimized for drinking from flat, natural sources, making it physically incompatible with the narrow walls of this man-made vessel. Staring at a life-saving drink that is visible but unreachable is more dangerous than finding a completely dry landscape. The resulting frustration triggers panicked, wasted movements that rapidly burn through whatever energy reserves remain. When survival is threatened, the first instinct is to fight. The crow strikes at the pitcher, attempting to dismantle the barrier. It hammers its beak against the thick walls, hoping to shatter the clay. But the rigid structural integrity of the vessel easily absorbs the impact of the bird's force. Realizing the walls will not break, the bird shifts tactics. It throws its weight against the neck of the jug, repeatedly trying to tip the whole thing over. Look at the distribution of weight in this diagram. Because the water sits at the very bottom, it creates a low center of gravity that anchors the pitcher to the ground, neutralizing the bird's pressure. While brute force is a natural default in a crisis, these physical constraints are effectively designed to exhaust and defeat a blunt force approach. Eventually, the crow stops. It ceases the attack and remains still, scanning the ground for any other variables it might use. It notices a scattering of loose, heavy pebbles lying in the dust. They are small enough to fit through the neck. The bird shifts its objective. Instead of trying to move the pitcher, it begins to manipulate the water itself. It uses pebbles to displace the liquid. As this diagram shows, when a solid object is submerged, the water level rises. The crow methodically drops stones one by one, forcing the water steadily upward through the narrow neck. This deliberate process proves that a basic understanding of physics can solve a spatial puzzle that absolute physical strength could not. After dozens of stones are submerged, the water finally reaches the rim. The displaced liquid has crossed the threshold and is now within the crow's reach. The bird drinks until its thirst is gone. The biological threat is over, the clock has stopped, and it is free to fly away. This is the source of the famous moral: where there is a will, there is a way. Willpower is frequently characterized as the stubborn repetition of a single action, the idea that success comes from simply hitting an obstacle one more time. In this case, willpower is the resilience required to abandon a failing strategy. It is the mental endurance to stop the attack and search for a new tool when instinct demands you keep hitting the wall. Refusing to die is only the first step. True survival requires the agility to step back from a problem and transform the environment into a tool for innovation.